Hello everyone, welcome back to another 2v2 battle. This is going to be me in turn bringing the combined forces of Bretonnia versus the nasty vampire counts. For Turin's army here, we have a line of 3 peasant mobs which can soak up the enemy charge, very cheap infantry that are very good at dying. Behind those, we have a corps of foot squires being led by the Fey Enchantress on her unicorn. She is a master of the Lore of Life, and you can see she has Lore of Life spells there as well as her own unique spells. And she also has that Lady, or Mist of the Lady, I think it's called? Miss Little Lady, yeah, so this is basically like a Mortis Engine damage effect, but also a -8 to melee attack to all the units around her, so she is a really cool unit. Then we also have a Grail Relic, and then 2 Men-at-Arms with pole arms. Behind those, we do have a couple of Peasant Bows that have the fire option on them, so these are a little bit more expensive than the other Peasant Bowmen. These are 500 as opposed to 400. And then we also have a couple of Questing Knights here and here, and then Battle Pilgrims behind those, so very deep formation, and then, I'm sorry, also a group of Grail Knights in their very fancy lance formation, and they look really cool. For my army here, I only had enough money for 2 peasant mobs, so they are also going to be designed to take the charge initially. But behind them, I have a whole corps of foot squires, and we also have a Damsel of Life, a Grail Relique. We also have a couple of Spearmen at Arms. I brought 3 and kind of spread them along the lines here. These are meant for like Cryptors or Knights, kind of just to run interference to get a little bit bonus versus large where I need them. Then back here I brought also 2 Questing Knights, and this army is being led by one of the other new legendary lords, Albrecht de Bordelot, and he's leading a group of the Royal Pegasus Knights, which are basically like Grail Knights on Pegasus. These cost 1600. They have very high weapon damage, bonus versus large, magic damage, immune to psychology, blessings of the lady. Like, these are some serious heavy-duty knights that have the flying mobility, and I think they're really cool, and Albrecht again is going to be leading them. So we're going to be facing off against basically one-on-one opponents here. So for Turin's opponent, we have a front line of Skeletal Spearmen and a Mortis Engine, I'm sorry, the Claw of Nagash specifically. They are being led by Manfred von Karstein, who has a whole assortment of spells, as you can see down there. He also is backed up by a White King, and then we have a Graveguard with great weapons, 2 Cryptors, 2 Graveguard with great weapons, 2 Cryptors, and then back here a Necromancer on a Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone? I'm trying to see what their buff is. I can't remember. Yeah, the Unholy Lodestone Corpse Cart version for this Necromancer. Also, some Fellbats are flying over the army, and they're going to be heading over to this direction. For the opponent that I'm going to be facing off against, we have a front line of Graveguard, Claw of Nagash, the Claw of Nagash Mortis Engine, also 2 Skeletal Spearmen, and then another Graveguard back here with great weapons. They brought a Banshee, the Red Duke himself, who is leading 2 groups of Blood Knights, which are very, very scary units, some of the best cav in the game. And then back here and hiding the Dire Pack of the renowned Direwolves, basically. So that is the opponent that I am going to be facing off of. So let's get down to it. So initially, we're going to have a Purple Sun of Zarius being cast by Manfred von Karstein here, getting into the Peasant Mob and the Foot Knights. The Vortex spells were changed so that they move slower, so that they can deal some damage to a specific unit, I guess, over a longer period of time, but it kind of just nips or clips the Foot Squire. Still does a decent amount of damage, but for the most part, it's going to be kind of wasted over here around the Grail Relique. Meanwhile, the Peasant Bows with the fire arrows are going to be shooting at the Fellbats, who have a very low leadership, so they are going to start crumbling near immediately. You just see how quick these fire arrows are going to chew these poor these Fellbats alive. And you can see his Knights going to be posting up to the side there to get some charges in the near future. Meanwhile, my Peasant Mob are going to be charging up into these Skeletal Spearmen and the Graveguard. They're going to be eating at the charge. The charge of the Graveguard is not that insane, but it's, you know, it's still negating it a little bit. You can see the charge bonus of only +8. And then I'm going to be bringing up our Foot Squires behind them, and I'm going to start casting some healer spells from the Damsel of Life, who is on her horse back here and safe and sound. Right now, I'm going to be looking for a way in with our Royal Pegasus Knights. I don't want them to engage against the Blood Knights immediately. I kind of actually want them to fight the Claw of Nagash together with Albrecht. So I'm going to intercept these 2 Blood Knights with a group of Spearmen, and then I'm going to back them up with Questing Knights, who I cast a upgraded Earthblood on, and I'm going to also get these Questing Knights around and try and hit the backs and try to encompass or totally surround these Blood Knights and hopefully destroy them is the goal. Also going to be throwing these Spearmen in as well, and then this Spearmen, I think, is going to go around into these Dire Pack Wolves, who are going to kind of push me away from the Claw of Nagash. So you can see here, in this short amount of time, this group of Royal Pegasus Knights and the Duke Albrecht, who also has a bonus versus large, as well as armor piercing when on the Hippogriff, brought this Claw of Nagash to 50% in a relatively short amount of time. The problem, though, is that the Dire Pack came down, and the Dire Pack also has a bonus versus large, and I did not want them to chew up our Royal Pegasus Knights, so they are actually going to kind of push me away from the Claw of Nagash. So it's a smart move there, getting the Dire Pack, and I'm going to try and, I believe, intercept them with the Spearmen, and then my Flying Knights are going to have to kind of just wait for another pass at the Claw of Nagash. Meanwhile, over here for Turn's forces, the Foot Squires and the Peasant Mob are in a pitched combat against Cryptors, the Skeletal Spearmen, and then the Quest Knights are going to be back here dealing with Manfred von Karstein and another group of Grave Guards. So the Quest Knights do have armor-piercing damage, so they are honestly, they're good in nearly any situation. They're good against armored infantry, and they are good against armored cav. They are just a very solid unit, so they are currently dealing with Manfred over there. Meanwhile, the Men-at-Arms or Polearms are going to be brought in to, I believe, deal some damage to the Cryptors. The Enchantress is going to be up the middle, I think? Yeah, there she is. She's up the middle trying to deal some damage to the Claw Nagash, which is also being focused down by Turin's Peasant Bowmen of Fire. And you can see they are just crippling this Claw Nagash. And a very nice rear charge here. The Grail Knights ran all the way around, and they're going to get a very amazing charge and just clear out the entire center of these Graveguard, the Grave Weapons, as they then also plunge into the backs of these Cryptors. And Grail Knights do so much damage to Cryptors. They have the bonus versus large, and they just crush low-armored monstrous infantry, or monstrous creatures in general. You can see the Claw Nagash is now down, and the Enchantress is going to continue to buff up the front lines of these Foot Squires with healing spells. You also have an Awakening coming down here on the Skeletal Spearmen and the Cryptors as well. Quest Knights in the background are winning against a group of Skeletal Warriors that I believe were summoned from Manfred von Karstein, who's still being chased by another group of the Questing Knights. Meanwhile, over here, my front line of Foot Squires have dealt decent damage to the Graveguard that they are fighting against. The Claw Nagash has been charged once or twice more by Albrecht, who has now been cornered by the Red Duke and is being kind of slowed down by a couple of zombie summons, skeletal summons. So I'm going to have to get him out of here. You can see he was taking a massive amount of damage from the Red Duke. And I'm still trying to focus down the Claw Nagash because it's so close to death. But Turin is now going to send his bowmen after the Claw Nagash as well. Meanwhile, over here on the Blood Knight front, the Questing Knight group over here took a lot of damage. But I'm still hounding these Blood Knights, going to charge them with the Pegasus Knights. And then do rear charges with the remaining Questing Knights that I still have and the Spearmen. And this is going to be the basic final blow to one of the Blood Knights. The other one is going to manage to escape to fight later. Meanwhile, over here, my Damsel of Life is currently buffing, or not buffing up, but backing up these two Foot Squires who are dueling out with the Dire Pack and the Graveguard and Skeletal Spearmen. And you can see I've dealt a lot of damage to the Dire Pack, and mostly those were against my very cheap Spearmen who traded very efficiently into the Dire Pack. Albrecht up here is just kind of currently hanging out because he took a lot of damage from the Red Duke, and so he's just going to kind of be healing up. And we're going to now focus down on these Blood Knights. You can see my Royal Pegasus Knights coming down here, and we're going to try and finish them off because you can see the other group of Blood Knights is being dealt with the two Questing Knights who we have surrounded and these group of basic Spearmen over there. Front line is still doing okay. We do have a massive blob around here being led by the Red Duke, I believe. Yeah, he's in here fighting off Turin's Grail Knights, who did a very nice charge into these Graveguard. And on Turin's side, we still have Cryptors up. We still have some Skeletal Spearmen, and of course Manfred von Karstein and his White King bodyguard. But they are kind of just being slowly taken down by all of these Battle Pilgrims that are still remaining, the Foot Squires and the Men-at-Arms with Polearms. And his Questing Knights just been wreaking havoc on the back line. Killed those Graveguard, have killed, I think, a couple Skeletal Summons, and are now going over here to destroy some zombies. And I believe this group of Quest Knights is going to go over here to try and assist me against the remaining Graveguard that are still alive, because they are just chewing through my Foot Squires. But Foot Squires are still very cost-effective. Graveguard are kind of a equal, though, when it comes against Foot Squires. So, a good choice to choose against Bretonnia. As you can see, a nice recharge of Questing Knights back there. I'm going to charge Red Duke now that he is near death. So Albrecht is going to take this as an opportunity to finish off the Red Duke. And you can see he's going to crumble to death over there. And with the rear charge of the Questing Knights, that's going to finish off the Graveguard over there. And with the just massive damage to leadership done, the rest of the vampire counts are going to fall in turn, leaving only these summoned zombies. So good game to our opponents, and to Turin, his fire bows did so much damage. They helped destroy this Claw of Nagash, and then they helped finish off my Claw of Nagash that I just couldn't finish because my opponent was doing a really good job of protecting it. I initially fought them with the Royal Pegasus Knights and Albrecht, but then we got chased off by those Dire Wolves, charged it again, and then the Red Duke came in, summoned zombies on us, and almost killed Albrecht, so I had to have him run away. So very good job at protecting the Claw of Nagash, but finally the Peasant Bowmen brought that down, as well as again, their own. So a good game to all. Let's take a look at the kill count here. Bretonnia is just so strong. It's just so strong and so different. You just can't bring normal, like, anti-Bretonnian armies anymore because they just have an answer to basically everything. Like, in their knights alone, they have anti-armor knights. They have various degrees of quality of, like, you know, okay, good, and great. When it comes to, like, anti-large knights, they have, you know, the Grail Knights. They have the Knights of the Realm, which has bonus versus large. They have those Royal Pegasus Knights, which are bonus versus large. Normal Pegasus Knights. Like, they just have an answer to nearly everything in the game at this point. So they are a super solid all-around faction that's probably going to be carried by Foot Squires and Questy Knights, would be my guess. And the Lore of Life just, oh my god, dude. Lore of Life. It's been nerfed, but it's still really good. But anyway, for kills here, you can see Albrecht got 28 kills, which is not bad. The Foot Squires just ran amok against the enemy Skeletal Spearmen, summoned units, and then their Graveguard. But again, the Graveguard, they actually do trade pretty well against Foot Squires. And again, I'm going to try and do a video showing exactly how well they can do. The Questy Knights, this is the group that took kind of the brunt of the 2 Blood Knights that they were fighting, and then this is going to be the one that got the rear charges against the Blood Knights, and you see they just racked up a ton of kills. They're just so good and trade so well because these things are only 1200, whereas Blood Knights are 17. I think they're 1700. So really good there. You see my Grail Relic was destroyed, so that's unfortunate, but it still did a decent job. And Pegasus Knights did a decent job as well. For Turin's forces here, Fey Enchantress was 5 kills. She did help bring down the Claw and the Gash, which is really well. The Battle Pilgrims are another really very powerful frenzy unit, especially when you backed up with the Grail Relic and brings their leadership to above 100, and they don't lose that frenzy until they get to below 40. So with the Grail Relic, like, they are going to be frenzied up through most of the battle. And you see they just racked up a ton of kills here. Foot Squires are just amazing, so they racked up a ton of kills against these Skeletal Spearmen. Peasant Bowmen were sniping forces this time, or this battle, and they just did amazing, bringing down the Claw and the Gash. Fellbats, they help bring down Cryptors. You can see Turin's Questing Knights. They did not have to fight against the Blood Knights, and oh my god, they were just free to wreak havoc across those Graveguard. Over 100 kills each. These things, I can't stress enough how good Questy Knights are. They are just so amazing for only 1200. They can do anything that you want them to. I mean, I guess their weakest target would be low armored, like, monstrous creatures, but basically, like anything else in the game, like, they do great, good, or okay against. And then the Grail Knights netting 55 kills, a lot of damage against the enemy Cryptors, because that is their ideal target. Again, the Cryptors are very low armor, and they are large creatures, so Grail Knights are going to just run them down, and never tire doing it, because they have immune to vigor, as all Grail Knights do now. For Palooka here, we have 52 kills on Manfred von Karstein, which is really good. Skeletal Spearmen actually kind of held up really well, considering they were fighting against Foot Squires. I am honestly shocked they did as well as they did. Or I guess some of these skills are probably also from the Peasant mob, but they still did a great job at just holding back Foot Squires. A lot better than I thought they would. Graveguard kind of got crushed by the Questing Knights, but they still eked out a couple kills. And then the Cryptors, even though they were kind of focused down a little bit through some of the battle by Peasant Bows and the Grail Knights, they still netted a ton of kills against the Foot Squires. And without the Grail Knights or Peasant Bowmen, like, the Cryptors can do really well against Foot Squires in a 1v1 situation, so that's a good pick against New Bretonnia. And then Claw and Nagash got 16, only because they kind of got focused down pretty early on. And then for my opponent, Onion Ease, we have 14 kills in the Red Duke, 10 on the Banshee, so that's really good. The Graveguard, you can see they trade really well against the Foot Squires. Go back to my army here. And some of these kills are against my Peasant mob, but a lot of these are also against my Foot Squires, so again, they do really, really well against them. The Blood Knights basically murdered one of my Questing Knights, but we eventually overpowered them due to all the spears I threw at them, Royal Pegasus Knights and the Questing Knights. These Fellbats were the ones I believe that turned sniped in the very beginning. Claw and Nagash was running away for most of the battle, but this opponent did really well at protecting it, so it did do some damage to my Foot Squires, and I'm sure helped a lot in killing them in their fights against the Graveguard. And then the Dire Pack netted 54 kills, which is still pretty solid. So again, good game to Palooka and Onion as well as Turn. That was a very fun battle, Bretonnia versus Vampire Counts. I feel like that's a very, like, lore-friendly battle, and it's just, New Bretonnia is so much fun. It's just so much fun. So we're going to watch this battle again in a cinematic view and see a bunch of Knights versus Knights and Foot Squires versus Graveguard. It's going to be a fun time. Hope you enjoy. There's a spell you don't see often. I tested the Vortex spells a little bit, and they do seem a little better just because they move a little slower. Still not sure if they're quite worth the cost, because of their still randomness as to where they are going to go. But they are better. These poor Fellbats, man. They did not have much of a chance. And now you see the Bretonnian lines moving. The Fey Enchantress and Duke Bordelot. And that Claw and Nagash is getting sniped by the peasants. I don't think you're really going to see Peasant Bowman spam like you used to. At least not like in the quantities. maybe the 2 like Turin brought for you know, anti-regeneration fire arrows. But you know, before it was very common to see 4 or even 5 peasant bows. I just don't think you're gonna see that anymore, just because of how many other cool units Bretonnian has. Oh, I didn't see this. Quest Knights actually got a good charge on this Necromancer. Oh, I'm sorry, the Grail Knights did. Oh, okay, so they must have killed this Necromancer and then charged into the back of those Graveguard. Oh, that poor Necromancer had no chance. So I believe this is when I should have been charging the Call of Nagash. I think my dudes just kind of got distracted by those Graveguard. Oh, those dire pack wolves just chewing on my foot squires.
Stay close, lads. It's gonna get bloody.
Those Blood Knights are so good. They also had an Invocation of the Head cast on them, I think, twice. But then this is going to seal their doom. Stopping their charge with the Spearmen and then doing counter charges here. Now, Pegasus Knights versus Blood Knights is not exactly the best matchup for the Pegasus Knights, but I knew that I was going to collapse on them with the Quest Knights as well, so I was trying to kill them pretty quickly. Oh, a second Purple Sun is there. I missed this. I think in theory the Battle Pilgrims should do pretty good against Cryptords. They have a very high weapon strength and that Frenzy also. I think in theory they should be okay. Look at these filthy peasants fighting off these undead. There they are, glorious Grail Knights. It just feels really good that Grail Knights are actually something you should probably fear. As before, there's just like, ah, look at those Grail Knights. Aren't they funny? And just so expensive for what they are. But now they are actually pretty good. And you should fear them. Did some tests against like Blood Knights, and I think they still lose most of the time in the tests that we did, but you almost can kill Blood Knights, which is it's pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the cinematic view, everybody, and I will see you all next time. Again, please check out Turin's channel if you have not done so yet. It's going to be in a link in the description below. Very cool dude, a lot of multiplayer games, and he is a great player, and he's a great dude. So check him out, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.